I've been playing some classical guitar, and as I've been playing these pieces on guitar, I've been transcribing and arranging some of them for the ukulele. I like the way that a lot of these guitar pieces sound on the ukulele. Both my low G and my high G ukulele, I've got pieces arranged for both of them. Both of them have their strengths. This particular piece is arranged for a low G instrument. You can play it on high G. It's just going to have a slightly different sound. It'll still sound pleasant, but the effect will be a little bit different. So this piece right here, Poco Allegretto, is a piece that is on the easier end of the classical guitar spectrum. It's by Ferdinando Carulli, and I had to do a couple of shifts to this, as I often do when I am arranging for the ukulele. Going from any other instrument to the ukulele requires a little bit of finessing, and I certainly had to do that here. On guitar, you'll probably see this piece in the key of C, and here we are playing it in the key of G. I was trying to keep it in a reasonable range, relatively close to first position on the ukulele. If I were to play this in the key of C, I would have had to do some games up here, and I was working it out, but I thought that it might be a little bit more comfortable for someone kind of just starting off with this style of music on the ukulele if it was sitting down here. There are some low notes in the song that I kind of had to play some games to make work here, and when we get there I'll show you exactly what I did and what I did to try and make it interesting still. So let's walk through all the parts of Poco Allegretto. Right there, one of the big things that I want to do is I want to look ahead and kind of see what kind of shapes are happening with my left hand. At the very beginning, you'll notice that it looks very, very similar to a G chord shape. Except I don't have to use my pointer finger, and that's a good thing, because in that second measure, I want to use my pointer finger to play this A note on the second fret of the G. Kind of fall into a D7 shape, basically. And then I reach up with my pinky to grab one of those high Ds on the 5th fret of the A. Now when I'm doing that first one, I do want to make sure that I am using my ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E string and middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A. Again, that is to make this transition from that first measure to the second measure as easy as possible. As I was first starting to play it, I was kind of using these two fingers and noticing, oh no, I've got to jump this finger over here, and it wasn't quite working. So I had to think about how I wanted to do that, and I actually made some notes on the sheet music. So you'll notice up in the standard notation, there are a couple numbers next to some of those notes, and that's telling you what finger to use for that particular note. I like that those finger numbers are up in the standard notation, because if they were sitting next to the tablature, numbers next to numbers can get a little confusing. So I like having that standard notation on the page for a number of reasons, but in this case, the finger numbers are really helpful there. So just a quick reminder, this is my left hand or my fretting hand. If you're playing a left-handed, then it would be your right hand, but the finger numbers will still be the same. So your pointer finger is number 1, middle finger is number 2, ring finger is number 3, pinky is number 4. So that's your fretting hand, the hand that is touching the neck of the ukulele. Nothing else too tricky in that first section. There is a rest at the end of each 8-measure section of the song. It's kind of got 3 sections, and what I just played was the first section. Maybe we could call it the A section. And at the 8th measure there is a 8th rest, and that's just telling us to have a moment of silence, and that kind of separates the sections a little bit. So measures 9 through 16. 1, 2. Rest right at the end there again. Here, there's a little symbol on the page right above that ninth measure there. It says a half bar. So essentially what I'm doing there, what I was trying to get the music to read, is I am barring down some of those strings. I am not barring all of them in this case, I'm just barring 3 strings. So I'm barring the C string, the E string, and the A string with my pointer finger. And then I am adding on my middle finger to the 3rd fret of the A string. And then I can pluck those strings that appear. So I pluck the C by itself, and then the E and A strings together. So I'm just barring for that measure. As I get to the next measure, I'm going to kind of pivot my fingers like so. And then when I get to this next one, I want to use my middle finger on the 3rd fret of that E string, because I'm getting into a little stretch here. Here I'm going to be doing a full bar. I'm going to be barring, well no, again, I'm just going to be barring these 3 strings again. And my pinky finger is going to land on the 5th fret of the G string. So as I make that pivot, 5th fret of the G string, and then I'm just plucking the C and E strings, which I'm barring on the 2nd fret. And next, I am falling into this G chord shape. So this is just a G chord, but instead of having my open G, I am using my ring finger on the 4th fret of the G string, barring the 2nd fret, and I've got my middle finger on the 3rd fret of the E string there. And then I repeat that same idea, at least the beginning of it. Pivot, and then measure 15 instead of reaching out for that C. I'm just hitting the 2nd fret of the C string, and then I'm plucking the C and E strings together. I've got part of a D chord going on there. And then I end with open G, 3rd fret of the E, back to open G, and of course we mute at the end there. So this next part, starting on measure 17, is where I had to make some changes, some bigger changes to the music. So I'm still keeping the relative notes the same, but I'm not able to play some of the octaves. I'm going to play you what it sounds like on the ukulele first. 1, 2, sounds pretty neat. What I was trying to do is trying to make this part where I'm playing the same note at the same octave sound interesting. And I attempted to do that by playing the 4th fret of the C string and the open E string, which is the same note, the same pitch. If you look at the standard notation, you'll see that both of those notes are the exact same note. But on the ukulele, I can play them in 2 different places. Play that same note, and each string has a slightly different sound. Even when I'm really in tune, there's going to be just teeny tiny differences in the sound of those 2 strings. Of course, I slide up to the 7th fret, so the notes are kind of really tight in with each other. Let me show you what that section sounds like on the guitar. So So as I mentioned, on guitar, we're playing in a different key. So that section that I was just playing on the ukulele is in E minor. And here on the guitar, I'm playing that same section in A minor. And I am dipping down into some lower notes here. So I've got this low A, and then I'm going to have a low E note down there as well. So you can see it really dips down, and we're playing a lot of octaves, which is the same note in different registers there, right? So I've got a low A, and then a high A, or higher A. And then that E section, when I'm jumping down to this low E there, I'm hearing a lot of separation between those notes because the notes are so far away from each other. I couldn't really capture that on the ukulele without doing some really stretchy stuff, or I might have to find a different key to play it in if I want to capture that same distance. So on the ukulele, so I'm still playing the same notes relative to each other, just without those octave shifts. I was also interested in the way that slide sounds. Now, the slide is very subtle. I would have to be very deliberate to make that slide really pop out in this piece, and I absolutely could. And I might play around with something like that as I continue playing this little piece here. But just the subtle nature of that slide adds a little bit of character that you're not getting from that same passage on guitar. And I was able to find a way to bring that octave section in here at the end in measure 24 when I play the 4th fret of the C string, 7th fret of the A string, back to the 4th fret of the C string. Of course, the rest at the end. So I think it sounds really neat. Obviously, it's a different thing going on here, and if you're playing around, or if you have a brilliant idea of a way to make that even cooler, I would love to hear about it or see it. And then we have DCL Fin written above measure 24 at the end. And what that's telling us to do is we go back to the beginning of the song, and we just keep playing down until we reach the fin, which is the finish, the end. So we just go back to the beginning, and we play until we hit the end of measure 16, where it says fin, and we are finished. Now, in this playthrough, when I did the repeat, when I go back to the beginning and start it over again and play till that fin, I didn't do the repeats. I didn't do play section A 2 times and section B 2 times. I could have, but I didn't. If you want to do those repeats on that second time through before the fin, go for it. But I just did the repeats the first time through the page. So let's play through it and see what it sounds like all together. 1 and 2 and... So there is a little karuli for you on the ukulele. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, suggestions, comments about the piece, or if you want to talk anything ukulele with me, shoot me an email at tinyvillagemusic@gmail.com. I love talking about the ukulele, and I would love hearing from you. There are links to fun stuff in the description below. You can sign up for my mailing list where I'll send you music stuff every week. There is a link to my online course, self-paced thing, start you from the beginning, get you rolling. So that's a cool place to go if you or someone you know is just starting out. That course might be for you. Well, thank you again very much for watching. Keep on strumming, and I'll see you in the next video.